All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is, if you are tuning in. This is 3 Cocktails In.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day.
And it feels like it's more nighttime than daytime in general right now. I mean, it was dark at 4:30 this afternoon, I feel like. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment. We are newly into the daylight savings time, and I feel like people are still adjusting. But here we are, 3 Cocktails In. We are now comfortably into our second season and super excited about what we have queued up over the next few months and into the next year. So, Amy, Stacey, hello to both of you. We've got a fun topic to discuss tonight.
We do.
We're going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship this evening. And it's a fun topic because we've seen this rise over the last decade for sure. And we ourselves have become entrepreneurs. And so it's just going to be kind of a fun, light conversation tonight on this topic. And hopefully, and again, that's one of the motivators behind this podcast, is that maybe you'll hear something tonight that will motivate you to make some sort of dream that you have become a reality.
Yes. Yes.
Because everybody can do it. So here's just, I should have Googled this before we jumped on.
But let's keep in tradition.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which is basically throwing it out here to the group and then somebody saying, why didn't we go
research?
Yeah. So you can now, when you go to college, you can now major in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have that back in our day.
I know you had to kind of cobble something together.
Yeah.
And although I do think of it as a little bit as like a liberal arts education, where you're learning about, I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I would kind of assume you are learning about a variety of necessary skills, topics that are needed, as opposed to just straight accounting or straight business management.
Right.
You know, there's more than just one avenue.
Right.
Yeah. I had a guy work for me for a short time. He did internship, and his minor was entrepreneurship. And it seemed like at the time it was a little bit about, business structure, some too, like what an LLC is and why you would have these different types of businesses. You know what I mean? At the same time.
Yeah. So a quick Google search tells me that an entrepreneurship degree prepares students to start, launch, and manage a business. Business planning, creativity and innovation, problem solving, teamwork, legal issues, and market analysis.
I think I would have loved that.
I think you would have too.
That, spot on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Which actually, when you think about it, all of those things, why wouldn't that have been a traditional business major? Right? I mean, all of that right there, you need to run a successful business, whether you're starting it or you're coming into an established business. You need all of these things. Planning, you need to be creative, you need to be innovative, you need to problem solve, you got to have teamwork, all of those things. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. As this has become a very, very popular and for, rightly so, sought after degree. So I looked up the topic a little bit. the global rise of entrepreneurs, the number of entrepreneurs worldwide rose over 600 million by 2024. So it rose over 600 million by 2024, making up more than 8% of the global population.
I think that anybody who starts their own business can consider. So you've got this vast array of truly me on my dining room table, and you've got major, large corporations. So I think that, and also on every single social media thing, you have to select what business you're in. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur.
Right. Anyone on TikTok, making money, no matter how they do it, is probably considered an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So a couple of driving factors here. Millennials and Gen Z are especially active in starting businesses. This all makes sense, so as young people are coming up and deciding that college might not be for me, and they might start to, so if they go to trade school or they something like that, they're more apt to start their own business rather than just going and working for someone else. Much more than our generation. I mean, we had entrepreneurs as well, but fewer people who came out of school and said, I don't want to work for anybody else. I'm going to start my own business.
I think that that's a large driving force. I don't want to be in an office. I want to be the boss of myself. I don't want to dress a certain way. All those things that we have talked about in past episode as to what some of the younger generations dislike so greatly about office jobs. If you're an entrepreneur, you'd rather just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Work from home. Do online something. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's that happening. And then also COVID has been a factor in this as well. And I think that was maybe the biggest push for, maybe our generation who came up in, we went to college and then we got a job and we had those hard years where you're working long hours and you're building your career path, and COVID hit and everybody was like, oh, I'm great. I get to work from home now. And this is a benefit because it's given me a little bit of extra time, and everything just kind of slowed down. Then all of a sudden we saw a lot of people move into, I'm not going back. I have to do something. So I'm going to start my own thing. Well, so for our listeners and viewers, this kind of came up in conversation one day as we were thinking about, okay, so you've got all these people who are leaving their jobs and, exploring their dream job. I mean, I just quit my job to do my passion business. And, but it begs the question, how are all of these people creating businesses that are profitable for themselves and they're actually able to make a living, right?
Yes.
So, gotta be creative.
For instance. Yes. So one of the nuggets that we occasionally share as we're trying to toss out ideas and, this was something I saw. Of course, it's on, Instagram or a reel or something. And a man, 35-year-old man, was going to Japan. And he had to spend a block of time there. He didn't really say why, but it was like his second trip. And the first time he was there, he didn't really find his way around. He wasn't able to enjoy the non-work portion of his trip as much as he'd like. So the second time around, he found out that you can rent an old man. That's what this reel was about. How he went online And it turns out that and by old, the guy he ended up renting for like a morning, a Saturday morning or whatever, was probably 57, maybe 62, something like that, a retired professional. And they had conversed back and forth that, on this website, there's their picture. They talk about what their specialties are, like food or art or sporting events or whatever. And if you just want to have somebody to talk to, I speak, my English is great. If you're missing just having conversation, we can go out for coffee. And I thought that was one hell of a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do. But do I have to call it Rent an Old Lady?
Please don't. Please don't.
We could workshop that a little bit for you.
I think we do, because I don't want to call it that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and it, as we talked, it reminded us a little bit of some of the Airbnb experiences that Stacey and I took when we were in Paris. What a great aha moment for people that they want a passion project. They love their neighborhood. They're so up on the Grand Canyon. They're not a hiking guide, but whatever it is, or people come to Minneapolis and they want to go see things.
Yeah.
Two of the best excursions we did were done as an Airbnb. We hooked up with, I don't even remember what their names are now.
I don't know.
But they were small grouped. They were, it went at our own pace, because if somebody was really interested in something, we stopped and we talked about that. I mean, I think that's a brilliant idea.
It's awesome.
It is. Yeah, I didn't know there was such a thing on Airbnb. So, like, to describe it a little better, one was a very small local wine shop, and we signed up to go for it was a wine and cheese tasting kind of thing, but very small. There was, Amy, 10 people?
Six couples? I mean, it was all couples, but,
except
than
us.
us.
Yeah. Huh. And then the second one was a bicycle tour, around the city and surrounding area and the Palace of Versailles. So it was a lot of, local things where, and I think that'd be a great thing, a great thing to do. How you just set yourself up and you go take people on a tour or show them something, And we liked it, because how would we have done all that? We wouldn't have been able to do all that on our own.
Right.
Especially the bike tour. We wouldn't have gotten to all those places on our own.
And they have them like a coffee tour. Stacey and I don't drink coffee, so we did not do the coffee tour.
We didn't do that.
They do them like you could hire somebody to walk you through a museum. Those are great jobs, businesses, ideas that somebody's taken what they really love, and are doing something with them.
Right. Yeah. I love it when people. So there's a Venn diagram, basically, where anytime you go through a brainstorming session to determine, okay, if I'm going to start a business, what is it going to be? And you're thinking about, what is a certain population need? What do I do? Well, and then
what can I get paid for doing?
That you can get paid for, right? And so I think that, and I think about this also in terms of corporate populations. As you're building a team inside a company, doesn't matter what size, if it's a company of 5 people, if it's a company of 50,000 people, when you've got leaders who look at people and find unique talents and abilities, and then giving them that opportunity to unleash that inside the company, you are bound for success. So that's what this is as well. When you are finally able to recognize in yourself a special talent that you have, and hopefully, these are those moments where it's okay to say, damn, I'm good at that. There's nothing wrong with that. And hopefully in this world that we live in today, that we are doing that more often, because we need to, well, and hopefully we've got a group of people around us that are our cheerleaders and our champions.
Yep.
But recognize those things that we do really well, and then say, okay, I think I can provide this service to other people. I think the world, it can be really beautiful when more and more people do that and share their unique talents and abilities.
Yeah. And you've got to be a little bold.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to say, I can do this.
Yep.
You can't be afraid of risk.
Yep.
Right.
You've got to be okay with that. I do think it helps to have some money socked away, or to be willing to eliminate all your expenses.
Yep. Yep. So what are the, because I know that we've all kind of sat and brainstormed this a little bit, and we're always thinking about, well, what are those things out there that are needed, or services that are needed that maybe they exist, but I feel like I don't see them very often. I'll give one example, and I think we might have touched on this before, but so just having gone through a death in the family, my mom had to navigate all of that. I think, and you guys, I think, talked about this when I wasn't on.
Yeah.
That right there is a service that would be so valuable to people, whether it's someone who's passed away unexpectedly, or someone who they knew they were going to pass and they had all sorts of things buttoned up. There's still a million things that you have to do afterward, and you are in no position to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, funeral homes help with part of it. Hospice helps with part of it.
Yep.
But the hard part is after the death has happened and you go home. And now you've got people calling you all the time, and you've got people dropping things off all the time, and people who want to talk to you, but they want to share their own stories. So now you're caregiver to their memories. And I feel like you need a bouncer, an older sibling, somebody who's there to say, thank you so much for dropping this off. I'll go take care of it. Somebody who can come in, and just like you could get somebody when you're having a baby that would come in and maybe clean for you and do some laundry for you and do these other things. I think and maybe there is a business, but I'm not talking about a big corporate. I'm talking about a person that comes into your home and holds your hand, if that's what you want, or if you just want somebody to take care of everything so you can just be in your room.
Yeah. Yeah. Or somebody to just say, okay, now we have to do these 5 things.
Yes.
They already know. They know everything. These are all of the things that you have to do. So that person, because I just watched my mom go through it, and just the anxiety that it brought on, and just the fatigue that it brought on, just like, I don't know. What do I do next? Oh, okay. We have to do this. Okay. Now what's next? And just having this feeling like, I've never done this before. How do I know that I'm covering everything?
Yeah.
There should be an expert to come in and walk you through all of that stuff.
A compassionate person, not just a business suit.
Right. Yeah.
Telling you all the boxes to check off.
Yeah. You need to have some kind of bedside manner for sure.
There's an idea. There's an idea.
So, and like you said, Amy, these might exist, but I don't feel like I wouldn't know where to find one. And I don't, if they do, there aren't very many. I think there's room for more.
And their marketing isn't that great
Apparently.
because we've never heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
I've always thought it would be good, and I know there are businesses out there, but I used to joke and call it a bitch for hire, where you'd
Okay.
there are people that don't like to call and say, I am not paying for
Oh, okay.
this price any longer.
Okay.
So to go in once a year or every 2 years, take all of your subscriptions, your phone, your garbage, your Netflix, your everything, and make all those phone calls for you that says, no, 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 this is not how we're going to do this. I'm not willing to pay for this. I'm not, people don't like to do it, but you can save so much money.
Yeah.
You really can.
People don't want the uncomfortable confrontation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be great. And then the services, you get some kind of cut of it.
Of what you said.
Sure.
Or, flat fee. I don't know. Yeah. Cut would be really good because the more you can save them, the bigger your cut.
Yeah. Okay.
Idea. What is all the, online, how much can you really make by being now I lost it, like a online, not shopper. That's not what I mean.
When you have affiliate links?
Affiliate marketing, yes. Is that really a thing? I mean, there's 1,000,005, if you watch TikToks and Reels and whatever, people trying to sell you on how to do that.
Yeah,
You
I
think
think
you can really make money at that?
I think you can. Yeah. I mean, just like being an influencer, it depends on your following.
Audience.
Mm-hmm. How many people will you be able to get to click on your link?
And how many times are you, I would think it's also very data driven.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just decide I like this product and I'm going to do this. You've got to have a very good grasp on how much do I make per click? How many sites, how many views do I have to get before somebody clicks? You've got to have a pretty good sense of math and, analysis to be able to do that. So I think that, not for me.
Yeah.
Not that I like being in front of people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just make it seem it's so easy and you'll make, thousands in a day.
Yeah. So, speaking of entrepreneurs and people who make it big, have either one of you watched the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix?
No, but I've seen a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
Good.
I watched it 2 nights ago.
Okay.
I watched it last night. Actually.
Okay.
So good. So good. It really, yes, it talks about her personal life and how, things unrolled, but she's really honest about how she wanted to build this business. What were her business ideas? How did she do it? All the names she was called for being a bitch and ruthless and rude to people. And they show clips and she's not nice. But it was so interesting. And that was also going to be my shot for the day. My shot is that even if you're not thinking of going into business, it's a wonderful, wonderful documentary.
Awesome.
And she's honest in it. And they bring up stuff and she's like, I don't want to talk about that.
Oh my God, I can't wait to watch it now. Good.
Yeah. So and they put some dates on it, which was helpful because I remember staying at home. So I got the 4-year degree, worked, had a couple babies, decided to stay home. That caused a kerfuffle in my household that I had done that. That I wasted my education. was actually the quote that was given to me. But I remember being just in awe and a huge Martha Stewart fan. And people are like, how can you like her? How, she's all, especially now with this big push about trad wives and everything. But she was really the first person that I remember as making the stuff that was important to me seem important. Gave the idea of having a nice home, making good meals. And
Right.
her meals were never extravagant. I mean, you could do stuff, but it was just about good food presented well in a home that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And listening to her talk about it is just it was so good. It was so good. And I'd just like to say again, she royally got screwed on that whole insider trading thing.
Yeah.
They talk about that, and that's really, really interesting.
Well, she came out just fine on that. She's an amazing brand case study.
Yeah. But she figures she lost $1 billion
Yeah.
because of the insider trading. Where her stock was, where
Yeah.
it tanked to, she had to give up her being CEO. She had to give up all
Yeah.
that. She
Yeah.
sold her company for hardly anything and started over.
Yeah, started over and
At 60, I think. 55
Right.
or 60.
Yep,
Yeah.
and became even bigger. So many would say when you hear brand people talk about her, and pre-prison and post-prison, there aren't very many people who can come back from prison and be as successful as she has.
Yeah.
So, and she's been known to say too that, she is the brand.
Oh, yeah.
So Martha Stewart, the person, the company, and the brand are all the same. And she knows that there's a liability in that big time, because when she dies, what happens?
Yeah.
And she talks a lot about that. But I cannot wait to watch it. My memory of when I fell in love with her, and so I don't know what year it was that she had the TV show and the magazine. So it was Martha Stewart Living, and I would go and buy the magazine. And I remember I was at home, so I think it might have been pre-college even.
Well, I think she started 1999. 99 is something happened in 99 and 2002. Those were two dates that stuck out to me. So
okay. So she built this brilliant concept in which she published the magazine and she published the TV show, and they coordinated. So you'd get your issue, and then it would show you the 4 weeks of programming. So you would sit down to watch the show, and you'd have the magazine with the recipes and the patterns and the crafts and all of the things in the magazine, and then you're watching the show. She was one of the first media people who actually brought together the printed publication and a television program.
and that was the company, Martha Stewart, Omnimedia.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they show the diagram of when she's putting it together and she's pitching it. She's the center of it, and it's her face, and it's all the cogs that come off it. I mean, brilliant mind.
Yeah.
Talk about it. It is the wonderful entrepreneur story.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
She
so
started catering.
that's right.
Well,
That's
I mean,
right.
she was a stockbroker before that. I mean, she had
Yeah.
a number of different iterations in her life, but she
Yeah.
got her break because she was catering for her husband, who was a publisher of maybe wine books.
Okay.
And while she's at this, she, catered this party for 250, and one of the publishers came up to her and said, "You should really do a book." And thus started the conversation. And then that got really interesting because he is interviewed and he said, it didn't take too long to understand that this was not our book, that this was her book, and this is how this was going to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
really, really cool. Inspirational, I think, in so many ways. Also cautionary tale, as most large businesses at some point, you need to
Yeah.
dial in. But
Well, so what was I just going to say? Interesting that when you would talk about really liking her early on, that you had so many people say, "Why do you like her?" I had the same thing. I would find that anytime I would talk about her, that would be the reaction that I would get. And I think that's really telling as well, because what were people reacting to? Were they reacting to the fact that this was a really headstrong woman who knew exactly what she wanted to do, and she was going to make this successful? And why did people not like her?
I think the early on the comments I got were because I had gone to college to get this degree, and now here she is just talking about being at home,
Yeah.
just being at home.
Just
Yeah.
being
You know,
and being a little fancy. I mean, she was a little fancy. You have to admit that. The things she was, showing on her TV show and in the magazines, which, by the way, I think I subscribed to for 100 years, kept them in my basement, I think, until recently. Like, I would go back and, like, I would ever go back and flip through it and do something, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's maybe it. It was a little fancy, I think. I don't know, for lack of a better word.
I just remember having people think that it was stupid that I needed to watch somebody on TV to show me how to do things that, like Women's Lib, we had just gotten free of being at home, and now I was interested in all the stuff from being at home. Later on, I think people really disliked her because she was a woman. Oh, listen to the boy, haven't we come a long way? She was a woman who made it big and dared buck the system.
Mhm.
And when you listen to, especially about the insider trading, you can hear who else was. She went to jail over $45,000.
Mhm.
No, nobody else did. Not the
Yeah.
people that, yeah. So
Mm.
really
Very-
interesting.
I'm gonna-
Well worth it. Very,
Good.
very entertaining and informational, especially as we talk about entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so my big question is always, how do you decide what to do? How do you hone in your business idea? Because I think that's it for me. It's like, how am I ever going to decide what I think I could do that's actually going to make money? And I don't mean millions. I mean just something. I think that's it for most people, is that, even I'm sure you have some people that want to start a business have some doubts. Is this really going to work? Is this really going to take off and,
Yeah.
be a valid
Mhm.
business? That's the hard thing.
I think you need some good people by your side
Mhm.
to sit with you and brainstorm with you. And I'd like to thank you, Kitty, for not using the word ideate. Can't stand that. It's called brainstorming. To toss around ideas to help you weed through them. I think you do need to do good research. What's out there? What's close to it? Who's in my area? What are they charging? What can I do different than what they're doing?
Mhm.
What's my value add? And what would you like to spend your time doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go for it, you better like doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yes, good points.
Well, it can be very, very exciting, and it's for me, having left my corporate job and for the first time in my life being my own boss, it's wonderful. It's freeing. I have, I have goals for myself. I have a weekly meeting every Monday morning.
With yourself?
Yes. And
Okay. Good for you.
and it's great. But my situation is different. I'm 57, and I turned my side hustle into my full time. If you are in your 20s, if you are in your 30s, and you're making a big, huge leap, there are tons of resources out there that
Oh yeah.
that help entrepreneurs get going. There are accelerators that are out there that you can get involved in, and obviously we've got so much at our fingertips. So hooray for all of the entrepreneurs of the world who are making our world better, because you know what, a lot of times they are out there doing things that that are bettering the world for everybody, socially, environmentally, all of that. And so we cheer you on. If anybody has an idea, give us some ideas. What are the businesses that are out there that you think somebody needs to do this?
Or what have you seen? What have you run across that you went,
Yeah.
I should have thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
For sure.
we will keep the topic alive, keep the brainstorming alive. And with that, okay, so Amy, you gave us your shot.
Yep, my shot. Watch Martha Stewart document Martha on Netflix.
Martha on Netflix. Awesome. Very good.
Yep.
All right. Any others for tonight?
I have nothing.
Okay. I had one last week, but I forgot to share, and now I can't remember it. So I'll remember it for next time.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
All right. Well, everybody have a really good week, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
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 All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10. Turning up the crowd when I hit 'em.